Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning to all of my beautiful souls. Hey, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming on today to Tony Talks, where I am here to encourage, inspire, and motivate you to become a better you. And how we do that is through our talks and interviews. And we're expanding. We are doing some collaborations. And so you're going to see a lot of good things. Just hang with me. Stick with Tony Talks, okay? We're going places, all right? So today you're going to be encouraged, inspired, and motivated through an interview on today. Yay! I'm so excited. But first, you know what we do. We do our deep breathing. Yes, we do. We do 4 counts in. That is the wrong banner. I am sorry. We do 4 counts in, 4 counts out. And we do it how many times, you all? Y'all know three times. 4 counts in, 4 counts out, and we do it 3 times. So let's get started. Good morning, little sis. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So, our first deep breath in. Good morning, Amy. Let's go. All right, that's our first one. Our second one. That feels good. Let's do our third one. Take a moment in between to like, love, share, subscribe, and tag you all. All right, because we have an interview today that you do not want to miss. It is about real estate and this market. And I'm sorry, I'm saying this in between our last breath. So let's take our last breath. Mm-hmm. All right. And our last breath in. Ooh, sorry, I'm on my phone and it fell. Let's get it up here. All right. All right. All right. So how y'all feeling this wonderful wealthy Wednesday? We're going to call it a wealthy Wednesday. Okay. How are y'all feeling? Give me some thumbs up, some hearts. Y'all feeling good? You're doing good. I know a lot of the children are about to, especially down south. So I'm hearing going back to school. So may they have a good day on today. Cover them and keep them. Good morning, cousin. All right. So, we are about to get into this interview because time is money, time is valuable. So, we're going to bring on. Man, this lady is a powerhouse. She's funny as well. I love her personality. Miss Cass, principal broker at the Aspire Group. You're feeling awesome. That is wonderful, Amy. Okay, now I got to see how to bring her on. Okay, there we go. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Where's Miss Cass? I'm glad you asked. Hey, Miss Tony, how are you?
I am great. Y'all see her energy now. Bring that heat. She has, I love her energy. It is very contagious. Okay. It's 6:30 in the morning and she acting like it's 5:30 in the evening. So I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So y'all invite your friends in, right? Go ahead,
Yes.
share this out. Subscribe if you haven't to my YouTube channel. I should be putting up the link up there, but I haven't as of yet.
Okay,
Let
throw that link up there. That's okay.
girl, I don't know it offhand. If I knew it, I would put it up there. But
That's
you
all
can
right.
also to YouTube and subscribe if you haven't. Hit Tony Talks. It'll come right up. Okay, let me put Miss Cass on up here. Welcome. There we go.
Hello there.
All right. So
So,
we're gonna jump right on in. What is this? Okay. We're gonna jump right on into this interview.
yes,
So, Miss Cass,
yes.
tell a little bit of background about who you are.
I love that. So, first of all, I feel better because I got my breathing in. That's important. I learned a few years ago, prior to actually during COVID, how important breath work was for
Yeah.
our mental. So, I appreciate you for taking time out, making sure that we learn that because it is so critical to our mental health
Mm,
as well as our physical health. So, thank you for what you do. So tell you a little bit about how I got started. Again, my name is Miss Cass. Cassandra Sneed is what my parents named me. The community deemed me as Miss Cass, your neighborhood real estate broker. I got started really, if I have to go back, in 2006. And when I was in corporate America, 2006, and I was trying to go through this process of purchasing a building on the west side of Chicago. I knew nothing about the area. I just loved this building. This building spoke to me, and I said, I want that building. I like that building. So
mm,
I got pre-approved. I purchased that building. And back in 2006, remind everyone that this was before the bubble, the real estate bubble burst. So I'm purchasing this building, and I really had no idea what I should be concerned about. I really didn't have a clear understanding of what it meant to be a landlord. How should I properly prospect for tenants? How should I properly do checks and balances to make sure that these are tenants that I want in my building? I was just excited that I had gotten a pre-approval, child. I was like, wait a minute now.
mm.
Me? I got pre-approved? You might be talking about somebody next to me. But I did. I got pre-approved at that time. It was over $300,000. And I just at that time, unfortunately, everybody like was getting pre-approved. There was a lot of predatory lending going on. So I didn't know really what was going to happen. But I ended up purchasing the building that I fell in love with, and just really made so many mistakes. And although I had someone assisting me, I didn't do my due diligence. So I can't really blame anyone but myself.
Mm,
And so I
mm,
started the tenant process, right? Trying to figure out, how do I fill this building so I can make money?
mm,
Thought I was going to use certain programs, and they were like, no, this building doesn't qualify. Again, I should have done my due diligence. I should have done my due diligence. Fast forward to about 6 months into my building, my tenant, I finally found tenants. It was a two flat, and I had a tenant upstairs who damaged the toilet. So the toilet ran over.
mm,
She had a daycare center that she was running. I had no idea. These are things that you have to ask tenants or applicants. Like, do you have a small business? Do you have a home-based business? That means that insurance that they carry needs to be different, just as a tip for
mm,
landlords. Ran the water over, and it damaged the ceiling, which damaged the ceiling for the first floor. That just spiraled into a number of different problems with my building. So fast forward into like the 8th month of me owning, my tenant downstairs stops paying rent.
ooh,
Then the tenant downstairs talks to the tenant upstairs, and she tells her, like, I'm not paying rent. Like, I'm not paying. So then she decides, well, I'm not paying rent either. Well, we just gonna high five on this. High five, honey. We ain't paying no rent. Like, no
oh,
ring a
no.
dang, let's do this. Yeah. So now I'm responsible for paying rent. Mind you, I stayed in another community. Like, I stayed in Woodridge at the time. My building was on 15th and Kenneth, 1531 South Kenneth. I used
Mm,
to own that building. It's a beautiful red brick building. And it's changed hands a lot of times. I watch it all the time, just because that was like the start of my career. In
mm,
2007, though, let's fast forward, I started really looking at my mortgage payments, and my mortgage kept going up and up and up. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is a fixed mortgage. Like, why is it going up? But I didn't realize that there were so many additional fees associated. So fast forward 2007, I lost the building to a short sale. And I
mm,
said, well, I'm going to sell it before they foreclose. A short sale is right before you foreclose.
mm,
And I sat at that table feeling defeated because I felt like I had failed myself.
mm.
And I heard something say, you know what, you trying to learn. Like, you didn't do what you were supposed to. Next time, you know what questions to ask. Like, next time, you know how to properly prospect for tenants. Like, all of these things came up in my mind while I was sitting at the table getting ready to sell my building. And I said, I am going to real estate school because I don't want anyone else to experience what I experienced. And I started in 2007 in real estate school, and life just happened. So although I started in 2007, I was still excelling in my corporate career. So I was continuing to go up the corporate ladder, and life just kept happening. So I started in 2007. Then I took a little break. Then I got a promotion at work. Then I took a little break. Then I said, well, you know what? Let me go back to school in I think it was 2009. I
Okay.
went back in 2009, but then I found out that my middle sister, who's no longer with us, was diagnosed with stage 4 cervical cancer. So then I usually would go to work, and then I would go right to her house, or if she was in the hospital, I would go right to the hospital, literally pick my daughter up from
Mm-hmm.
school or from home, go to the hospital, and we would end up in the hospital. And we did that for several weeks until she passed in 2010 on Valentine's Day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then I said, okay, I don't want to even talk about real estate because in my mind, I associated all of that with trauma, her
Mm-hmm.
past. I don't want to talk about real estate. It feels like, it's just not for me. And
Mm-hmm.
I fought back and forth with that feeling for 7 years after her passing.
Mm-hmm.
Then 2017 rolls around. I've moved back to the city, and I'm like, okay, this is my year. This is my time to sow into me. And I left corporate America. I started leasing for a small little rinky-dink company just so I can get the feel of how do I transact from a leasing perspective in the
Mm-hmm.
field. So like around the end of 2016, I actually started leasing with the little leasing company here on the south side of Chicago. I won't even say their names because most of the stuff that went on there, I don't even want to talk about.
That you don't want to be associated with that, huh?
Woo! But what it taught me was how to interact with people from all different backgrounds, right? From all different nationalities. And so I did that for a few months. And in 2017, I left corporate America. I said, I'm just going to go to real estate school. I didn't even have a plan B. I just knew that what God had for me was better than what I had for myself. And I didn't have a plan B. I just, March of 2017, I gave my job 2 weeks notice, and I'm like, I'm out. Actually, March of 2017 is when I left. I gave them a 2 weeks notice in February of 2017. And I went back to real estate school, went and got my license. And as December of 2017, December 23rd, 2017, I passed my real estate exam.
Yeah.
So 2017 was a pivotal moment, like a pivotal year for me in my life. Since then, I've just been doing real estate. This is all I've been doing. Now, for the first 2 years, I will say this, you try to find your balance as an agent. And I think a lot of times people see us in this industry, they don't know that a lot of us struggle with trying to balance that budget because you can have a closing one day, 1 month, and you cannot have closings for a couple of months. So you
Mm-hmm.
really have to make sure that your budget is tight. You got to make sure that you minimize your spending. And I think we need to share that side of the business more because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that isn't shared. So people come into this industry like, yes, I'm getting ready to save the world. And you're like, yeah, but just save your chips while you saving the world because it takes time to build up your audience, to build up your clientele. People have to trust you. They have to know that you're educated. So I just continue to work. My first transaction was my cousin. They trusted me. Although I was so afraid to go through that deal, and I was afraid to mess up because not only were they my clients, they were my family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they entrusted me with their transaction, and they've since sold their building and moved out to Las Vegas. But that transaction really gave me a lot of exposure, and then I just started building in the community. Doing things with different companies, organizations, neighborhood housing services. You know, working with different grassroots organizations, and from there, I just said, okay, this is really what I need to be doing. And
Mhm.
so today, I have approximately five brokers that are on my team, and we work in partnership. My daughter is one of my brokers. She
Nice.
actually came to real estate. Yes, she came to real estate about 2 years ago. And again, it takes years for you to
Mm,
hone in on your craft. So she is really just now learning how to be a good steward in the business, how to attract clients, how to go from just a realtor to an educator. And so that's a lot of
mhm,
what I do now. A lot of my time when I'm not with my clients, I'm in the classroom teaching them, going through home buyer workshops, or partnering with local organizations, helping them understand the ownership process because
mhm,
it's tough. Home ownership, it is not easy. And I understand why a lot of people decide that they don't want it. And I don't judge because we have to know what works for us. But it's a great opportunity for us to grab some of this land that is here. Our ancestors worked so hard to build a lot of these cities, and for us to not have something with our name on it that we own, I just think it's a travesty.
mhm. And that's one way that we're gonna get our 40 acres and a mule because they ain't giving it to us, right? We gonna have to go get it.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to work. We have to work, and we all work so hard. And I look at Chicago, in the mornings when I get up, I see people getting on the bus going to work. They're stuck in traffic going to work. Like, this is a working city. As
Mhm,
much as people tend to think that, oh, Chicago is just all about this or it's all about that, this is a city of hardworking people. And all we want is to be able to enjoy the hard earned work that we do. That's all we want. You know, a lot
mhm,
of us are in these communities, and some of these communities are plagued with so much violence. We just want peace.
mhm,
We just want to come home, kiss our children, sit down with our spouses and our family, have dinner, collectively at the table. And we want to grow. We want to learn about this. But I understand the trauma
mhm,
behind a lot of the decisions that we make in our community. And so one of those traumas is generational when it comes to ownership. We're coming
mhm,
from a community that thought we owned, and we were leasing through land sales. So
mm,
we put all of our time and our investment into properties. And instead of us owning them, we were just basically renters. And so anything that we would do historically could cause that lease to be annulled, could cause us to be evicted. If we made a late payment, immediately a lot of our families were evicted out of homes that we thought we owned. That's
mm,
trauma. And that trauma goes from generation to generation. And so I can see why a lot of people don't necessarily want to own, but
mhm,
own something.
mhm.
If it's a vacant lot, own it.
Yeah.
It.
Well, so talk about that with
Yeah.
land, right? Like, what is the benefit to owning a piece of land, versus maybe buying a property or something like that? That's the good stuff.
So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
A few years ago, there's a community here called Woodlawn. I don't know if you're familiar with the
Mm,
Woodlawn community. Okay. So Woodlawn, south side of Chicago. A few years ago, Woodlawn, and it might longer than a few years ago, Woodlawn vacant lots. You could go into Woodlawn, purchase a vacant lot for like 2,000, 3,000, $5,000. Even 5,000 is a lot.
mm,
Fast forward to today, one of my realtor partners has a vacant lot in Woodlawn for sale for over $100,000. A vacant lot, because it's all about location.
mm,
When those lots were for sale 10 years ago, right? 15 years ago, we weren't talking about the Obama Presidential Library or the Presidential Center.
yeah.
And we have to get in before the conversations start. So now, this lot that is situated off of 66th and Stony Island behind Chase Bank, for anybody that knows those locations,
Mm. We
is
got a
now
lot of
valued.
other states. So they may not know. But if you know, Stony Island is a busy,
Oh, I'm
busy.
sorry. It
Yeah.
is. It's a business corridor here in the city of Chicago. But I'm saying this to say, even depending on where you live, start purchasing lots. If you can't afford to purchase a house, purchase a couple of lots. Sit on
Mm-hmm.
those lots. This is not a short game. Real estate is a long game. Sit
Mm-hmm.
on those lots. Watch those communities in those areas start to appreciate. The value of that lot is going to appreciate. But that's just one example. And then we started to see new construction in Woodlawn. So imagine having these lots. Now you have new construction. Who the developers are going to come to you and say, look, I need this lot. And don't have two or three of them in a prime location. No matter
Mm-hmm.
what city you're in, you can do this in every city. I need this lot. I actually need all three of these lots. And your lot is right in the middle of the other two that I own.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're at the table. You're no longer
Mm-hmm.
on the menu. Now you're at the table. And so we have to wrap our brains around different strategies around that. Most millionaires and billionaires started their career in real estate, whether they were leasing, whether they were landlords, whether they were just investors. Real estate is the catalyst to wealth generation building. But there's a strategy to it, and people need to understand that. I had the idea back in 2006, but I didn't have the tools and the resources to understand how do I really turn this one building into three buildings? How do I
Mm-hmm.
turn it into six buildings?
Mm-hmm.
But now, having the experience, having the knowledge, making the mistakes that I made, I can now use that to sow into my clients. And I think that's what sets me apart from a lot of people in the industry, is because I've failed. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna be that real estate agent that's gonna come to you and be like, hey, you know, it's gonna be all rainbows. We just gonna go out searching. We just gonna be skipping up and down the street. Every offer that we put in is gonna be accepted. I'm telling you, no,
Right.
that's not the reality. It's tough out here in these
Yeah.
real estate streets. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, we're looking at for the city of Chicago and the surrounding areas, the average sales, like the median sales price for a single family, is $315,000.
Woo.
$315,000. So my thought process, if I'm going in the real estate industry and I'm going to purchase one, I've had a single family home before. I don't want a single family home. I want something that is going to pay me monthly. I don't want that. So let me go and look at multifamilies. So
Mm-hmm.
I purchased again after all those years. I had purchased a house in 2011 in the south suburb or southwest suburbs or west suburbs, Romeoville, and I rented that out and made some money. I used the CHA program out in Joliet, the Joliet Housing Authority program. These are great programs, you all. Don't let people tell you, oh, you don't want to rent to anybody that's a voucher holder. They're going to tear your houses up. Let me say this. It's all about the person's mentality. Whether you're a voucher holder or not is not my problem. How do you take care of your home today?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of conversations do we need to have up front to make sure that you understand my expectations of how you should take care of my building? What types of policies and procedures should I put in place should you not do what we talked about? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's whether you're a voucher holder or whether you're not a voucher holder. And
Mm-hmm.
so those types of things we have to learn, because investors, when they purchase these buildings, they say, I'm getting ready to go in here. I'm going to purchase this building. I'm going to rent it out to a voucher. I'm going to get paid guaranteed rent every month. I'm not going to have to fight them for my rent. And I'm going to do this for about 10 years. I'm going to reevaluate this after 10 years, and I'm going to look at the community. Is the community worth selling? Should I sell? Should I hold? Either I'm going to sell this building or I'm going to start buying up more of these buildings within that 10-year journey. That is the idea that most investors have when they come into our communities and start renting out these properties. If they have
Mm-hmm.
one property in your community, more than likely they have dozens.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Mm-hmm.
just another strategy, is to leverage the voucher program, leverage all of these programs. During COVID, when the CHA, when CHA, they sent the letter out during COVID, because a lot of the voucher holders, you still have to pay a tenant portion,
Mm-hmm.
some of them that were employed. Well, a lot of voucher holders lost their jobs. And
Right.
so CHA sent out They sent out this communication, and they say, you know what, landlords, we know that your tenants have lost their jobs. We know that that tenant portion needs to be paid. We're going to take care of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're going to cover the tenant portion. We're going to cover our information as well. Don't worry about it. And so I had so many investors prior to COVID that said, oh, I don't want to rent out to voucher holders. Well, I can't do that. I am an equal opportunity real estate broker, and I have different policies and procedures that I have to adhere to. And I cannot discriminate because somebody has a voucher. And those are conversations that I had to have with a lot of my owners. And some of my owners I had to no longer work with because they wanted me to specifically discriminate against voucher holders. I'm not going to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of times I would be in a back and forth situation. This is just not for me. Let me focus on the landlords that I need to. I even had to report some landlords because again, you cannot discriminate. And right now in the state of Illinois, as of January, proof of income is now a protected class. So if
Mm.
you try to discriminate and you're in the state of Illinois, that's going to be a problem. You absolutely cannot do that. And
So
so
what do you mean when you say protected class? What does that
yes.
mean?
So they are federally protected. So you know how you have to, you know how they say you can't discriminate from someone for their familial status. So if they have children, you can't be like, oh, you can't move here, you got too many kids.
Yeah.
For their religion, oh, you can't move here because you're a Muslim and I don't want a Muslim here. Like those are all protected classes.
Okay.
Religion, familial status, those are federally protected classes. And the state of Illinois realized how much of a struggle it was for people that had different voucher programs for them to find adequate housing. And so
Mm-hmm.
the state of Illinois, Cook County had already done it, but the state of Illinois came in January and said, as of January 1st, anybody that's a part of these voucher programs and similar programs are a protected class because that is their proof of income. So
Mm-hmm.
proof of income is now a protected class. You cannot discriminate because somebody is a voucher holder or because they're a part of a housing program. You can't do that.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, so those landlords that decided, oh, I can't do this, they struggled during COVID. They
Mm-hmm.
lost out on rental income. A lot of their tenants had to go through the rental relief programs that we had here in the county and the state and the city,
Mm-hmm.
while other owners who were open-minded and understood the program, understood the assignment, their clients never missed a payment. When their tenant portions, when they lost their jobs and their tenant portions could not be paid by the tenants, CHA made that happen. Chicago
Mm.
Housing Authority, they made it happen. And so we have to make sure that we understand how to play the game. Back in 2006, I didn't know how to play the game. I was just so excited, right? I
Mm-hmm.
got pre-approved. Oh my God. I thought about what that could mean for my family. But at the end of the day, the education, the
Yeah.
education. I tell people, go to those homeowner workshops. Go to NHS. Here locally, we have neighborhood housing services. Go to neighborhood housing services, take those classes. You can take classes almost everywhere, and most of them now are online. Those classes prepare you for the ownership journey. And if you want to become a landlord, there are even landlord classes. Community Investment Corporation here in the city, which is what we call CIC, has landlord management courses. They have a phenomenal landlord management course for you to take so you understand how to communicate with your tenants. What are some things that you need to be doing up front? What are some things that you might not want to do? These are all great programs. But yeah, we definitely, education in our community is imperative when it comes to real estate, because if you look on TikTok, if you look on Facebook and social media, you see a lot of glitz and glamour when it comes to real estate. And that can happen, but that takes time. But don't compare your journey to somebody else's.
Mm-hmm.
You might not be able to get that house in the suburbs. Get you a house in the city. Because if we don't start grabbing some of this property, we're going to look up and some of our communities are going to be out of our reach in terms of affordability. And that's what we're seeing right now here in Chicago. We're
Yeah.
seeing a lot of communities, the rental aspect, the rental increases are crazy in a lot of these communities. And so
Mm.
people having to leave the communities that they're indigenous to, the
Yeah.
communities that they grew up in, that their children grew up in, just because they can't afford the rent. The rent is going up.
Mm. Rent is higher than if you own.
It depends, yes. It depends on location. With everything, location is a top factor. And
Okay.
so if you look at some of the rental amounts, and I'll use my building because I purchased again in March of 2022. I purchased on the south side of Chicago, and I purchased a two flat, and I said I'm going to live upstairs. I'm okay with being a landlord. I know how to do it now. I've taken my classes, I've made some mistakes. This is what I teach. So let me practice what I'm preaching. And I
Mm-hmm.
purchased my building. It was a two flat. It needed work, but I loved the building. And the reason why I purchased it is because initially my building was a 5 unit. It's zoned as a 5 unit. Still to this day, my building is zoned as a 5 unit.
And it's a
All
two.
It's a two flat. So what they started doing, the previous owners started deconverting it from a 5 unit. And so the way that it was originally set up is the basement had an apartment, the
Okay.
second floor had a front apartment and a rear apartment. The first and second floor had one R, one F, like one front, one R, one rear. Second floor, two front, two rear, and a basement. So it used to be
Oh.
5 units. What they started doing was they opened up each floor. I had to eliminate the apartment from the basement because there was some water there. I had to address the water issue, which I did. So I just left that open.
Mm-hmm.
First floor, they had already opened the walls and made 1 unit. Second floor, they had opened the walls and made 1 unit. And so I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the layout, and I'm like, this something is. This place is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and did my research, did my due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
Said, oh my God, this used to be 2 units. So first floor, 2,000 square feet,
Mm-hmm.
easy. Second floor, now 2,000 square feet. But I came in and I rehabbed it. And that's another thing that we have to learn, how to come into these properties and rehab them. Because if we think that this is easy, it is not easy. Rehabbing properties is difficult. You have to have a good contractor team. Your contractor team can make or break your entire deal. I was supposed to be in this house. I purchased in March of 2022. I'm just going to give you an example.
Okay.
My rehab budget and my goal stated that as of September 2022, I would be in my building. I did not effectively move into my building until almost a year later.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that time is money. When you do a rehab, you can only get so many months escrowed into your project, which means
Yeah.
they'll put the mortgage payment off to the side. That
Mm-hmm.
only lasted for 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So from, I'm sorry, that lasted 6 months. So from September of 2022 up until I moved in, really moved in like around January, February, I had to pay this mortgage. My husband and I, we had to pay the mortgage and we had to pay what we were renting. Now, mind you, our landlord was like, okay, what you told me
Right.
September 2022. You gotta
Mm-hmm.
go, sis.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go. So imagine what type of pressure that put on me. And now I'm still out here trying to teach. I'm still out here with clients. He's working, I'm working. Understand the reality of real estate. And that's what I bring to the table. I share with people what goes well, but I also share what goes wrong because things go left really quickly. And if you don't have a good real estate broker, if you don't have a good attorney, if you don't have a good contractor, you can forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important.
We got so many comments. They
Yeah. Do we need to read? Do we need to go through them? You want to
well
go through them?
popping them up there because you the lit, honey. You give knowledge that you need, right? So I want to let me see what this one says. I'm definitely
Okay.
fed with this good real estate knowledge and information this morning.
Yes.
Yeah. So Miss
Come on now.
Cass, bring it now. Y'all think I'm gonna bring on a little piano? No, no, no. That's not. what we do. So good morning to Miss Kane. Good morning, Miss Al.
Yes.
Good morning, husband, and good morning, big sis. Okay.
Yes. Good
Um,
morning, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining. Man, this is awesome, and this is what we need. Like, I tell people, don't invite me to just a party. Let's do a business shower. Let's do a business party. Let's sit down and talk about our credit and what we need to do to build credit. I'm digging for my charger. If you're trying to figure out why I'm leaning to the side.
oh no,
Um,
I was just into it. Like,
but yeah, that to me that is so important because one thing that I know
yeah.
is that when I go into these other communities that of people that don't necessarily look like us, I have so many different relationships. And when I look at the conversation that is had, children are learning about stocks at 5 and 6 years old. They're learning about investments at 5 and 6 years old. They're learning how to sow into the family business at 5 and 6 years old. I'm like, something has to change.
Yeah.
Something has to change. We have to hit a reset button in our communities. And we
Mm-hmm.
have to understand that the failure to do that is going to make sure that our generation suffer even worse than we are.
Yes. Do
That's the
you teach
reality.
it? Like, do you go places and teach it?
Yes.
Well, so Miss K, that it would be great to teach in the church, right?
Yeah.
Because you got
Everywhere.
people right there, and there's so many places that is needed. Um, do you teach it? Where do you teach it?
That's a good question. So we actually have Exit Strategy Realty has several offices. And so our North Side office here in Chicago, 2235 West North Avenue, we have a training facility inside of there where we're open to the public. We teach classes. We bring lenders in, not only to talk to us as team members, but we bring lenders in and then we bring potential people that want to go through the process of ownership in so we
Mm,
can have those face-to-face conversations. Because I think what COVID did was COVID gave us a virtual platform, but
yeah.
our seniors are not on a virtual platform. People, we also are dealing with people who have internet. There are internet deserts throughout our community. So not everybody has internet. And we have
Mm,
to understand that. So we have to meet people where they are. So the churches, the schools, just different community organizations. I do a lot of that here in the city because it's so important. Hold on, let me plug this phone. Let me plug this
okay.
laptop in. Hold on,
Oh,
stand by.
go ahead.
Stand
Hmm.
by.
Y'all, look, she is a powerhouse in this thing, right? Real estate is one way for us to really build wealth. That's a big, one of the biggest wealth building tools that we can use. So if you don't have real estate, even as she talked about like land, right? Maybe going into some communities where the land is cheap right now and grabbing you something. Well, I don't want to say cheap right now because it's not a whole lot of cheap
Nothing
in,
is cheap right now.
but but something, if you can get your name on something and hold
Something.
something and hold it. So I want to jump into because we getting, I want to be off in about 20 minutes. I want to jump into the market now. What is going on with the
Okay.
market now? You know, the as far as like buying, selling, what type of market is it? Because I'm hearing different things. Is it a seller's market? Is it a buyer's market? Is it just a dry market? Because
Ooh.
yeah, we got our house on the market right now. And tell me about what's going on, because it ain't moving yet.
Yeah, so let me say this for buyers, it is a season for buyers to really reflect on their affordability because of interest rates. Buyers are really paying more attention to their bottom line. During COVID, it was so crazy that we were seeing buyers come in the market willing to pay $40,000 over asking price, $50,000 over asking price. Earnest money is what we know as good faith money. So when you put in an offer, the owner accepts you, you present earnest money. It sits in escrow while you go through the process of ownership or you go through that ownership journey. People were putting 15, 20, $30,000 in earnest money down for homes. We are
Mm,
not seeing that as much now because of interest rates. People are really holding tight to their budget And a
Mhm.
lot of people have since decided that renting is the best option. And again, if this is something that people feel like, if you're in this position and you feel like renting is the best option, what I would tell people is really sit down and assess the next 3 years. Where do
Mm,
you see yourself? Because if you continue to wait to buy and you're in a position to buy today,
mm,
could that hinder you even more? Because if you look at the historical price of homes, if it's not the interest rate, it's going to be home prices. If it's not the
exactly.
home price, it's going to be interest rates. And
Mhm.
so we really have to assess what we can afford. And for a lot of families, they've decided to have an intergenerational household, which means the grandfather is still in the house, the grandmother is in the house, their children are in the house, their grandchildren are in the house, and their great grandchildren, a lot of times, are in these homes. Families have had to come together. One thing that COVID taught us was family was everything.
Mhm.
Everything. Like a lot of us, we had to lean in on the people in our households. And some people in our households had that weren't in our households had to move in with us just so we could care for them, be around them. And so a lot of households have shifted to intergenerational households, and everybody puts money in the pot, right? Everybody takes care of the mortgage. Everybody is responsible because it is so imperative for people to keep their homes. We talk a lot about new owners, but what about the current owners? Current owners struggled. Out of all of the COVID relief programs, there were just a small portion of current owners who could take advantage of COVID relief funds. And so for
Mm,
them, the funds and COVID relief was, you know what, I'm gonna have to ask cousin to come on and move in. I'm gonna have to ask my sister to come. And so a lot of families have stuck to that model. And it's not a bad model as long as everyone respects each other, because a lot of people's dollars are not going as far as they used to.
mhm, mm.
So
And
fast
that's
forward
what
to
other
today. Oh,
cultures
go
do.
ahead.
That's what other cultures do as well, right? They
Okay.
live that.
Anyway,
Yeah.
everybody stays in the household.
Mm,
Nobody moves out until everybody is financially stable. There, that is an assignment that a lot of
mm,
cultures follow. That is the blueprint that a lot of cultures follow. And sometimes we've been made to believe, a lot of us, that when you're 18, you gotta go. When you're 21, you gotta go.
yeah.
But let that 21-year-old go to school if that's what they so choose, because we've also learned that college is not the end all be all.
Mm,
Let them go to school, and or let them create a line of business for their own. Let them dive into entrepreneurship.
mm,
Let them build their business right there
mm,
from the home. Let's
mm,
create a safe space for them
mm,
so that they can learn and grow. And then they can also help to sow into the mortgage when their mortgage needs to be paid. They can help to do some of the maintenance. And
mm,
so it's really important that we go back to those principles as a community. And we're starting to see people being forced into that in a lot of
mhm,
our communities, just because, honestly, a lot of the breadwinners that were here, they passed during COVID.
mhm, mm,
Breadwinner, you got the head of the house, someone that was sewing into this mortgage, solely responsible. Some of our breadwinners passed, some of our heads of households passed. We went through a lot. So
mhm.
fast forward to right now. Is it a seller's market or is it a buyer's market? Location. It all depends on location. I'm dealing right now with the client for the south suburbs. I'm not going to say the suburb because I don't get paid to endorse them, first and foremost.
I-
But when I tell you that we've had a few offers that we put on the table, very strong offers, and we've been outbid like within the last 2, 3 weeks. So it really depends on how strong that community is and how attractive that community is to us. Because if it's attractive to you as a buyer, imagine how many other buyers it's attracted. That are going to be attracted to that same area. And then in other areas, we are not seeing prices. We're not seeing properties move. I mean,
mhm,
we've done price corrections. We've thrown in extra incentives for buyers, although there are still a ton of um, programs for buyers but we've encouraged sellers to throw in some extra incentives just to get this property sold, and they've agreed to it. But in some
Mm,
communities, we are really just not moving the needle, and properties are sitting on the market.
mhm. What is
I can tell
that?
you. Mhm.
If the property sits on the market, so now I'm talking about my own stuff, right?
Uh-oh. Okay.
Oh, if it sits on the market for too long, that looks
Yeah.
bad. That
Yeah. The real, yes, it looks bad to a buyer. But what a strategic buyer will do is leverage that market time. Because one, we know that you as a seller are really ready to go, especially if it's set on the market 6 months or so. Like if it's
mm,
set on the market and it's been 6 months, we know that you are going to we know that you want to get rid of it, right? We know that you're serious because it's still on the market. Because if you weren't serious, you could have just taken it off the market and said, you know what, I'm not going to sell. But the fact that it's past a certain threshold and it's still on the market is leverage for a buyer. Um,
mm,
oh,
mhm.
somebody said, what's considered too long to sit on the market? I think it really depends. You have to. So what I do is when I have sellers, I go and look at data. I don't assume anything. I pull data for that particular community. Before we even list, I tell them this is the average market time for this community.
Okay.
When I give them that average market time, I also give them several factors, because although that's the average market time, maybe your home has additional amenities and benefits that could stand out, or
Mhm.
maybe it doesn't.
Mhm. Mhm.
Those are things that are going to continue to keep that home on the market, because if you have competition around you and there are homes that are in a more superior have more superior qualities,
Yeah.
of course your home is not going to be the first choice. And so
Mhm.
we have to really think about that when we put homes on the market. You have to look at what has sold, but more importantly, what is active in your area. Because if you have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and you have a house next door or down the street from you that are 3 bedrooms, 3 baths with an additional half bath, and then it has a main ensuite, like an attached bath to a bedroom, now you're talking about additional value and additional amenities. That has to be considered when you think of pricing structure for your home. That has to be considered when you think of market time, because more people are going to gravitate towards the house, more than likely, with more baths, unless there's something that's really different in the quality of their home. So
Yeah.
yeah, it can vary. So buyer's market, seller's market, depend locally here in Chicago. That is literally like block by block. One block may be a
You
buyer's
are
market. One block may be a seller's market. It's all about location, 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 and that's a big factor.
mhm. Mhm.
One of the things that I see when it comes to sellers, just really quickly, in terms of assessing who they want their buyer to be. Most of the time nowadays, buyers want buyers to be conventional.
Mm,
That's a conventional loan. That's just a loan product. I'm not a lender. I just know this based on experience. A lot of times sellers do not, they feel like they don't want to, they don't really want to transact with someone that has an FHA loan. FHA loans are 3.5% down. More people are going to be FHA buyers because it is a lot of it is due to it being the lowest down payment.
okay.
Again, people are trying to stretch their dollar. We're struggling. It's inflationary times.
Mhm.
Sellers sometimes make a decision to say, I don't want to deal with FHA, because FHA is, they may come in and they may tell me that I need to fix this and I need to fix that. And I don't want to fix anything. So I'm selling this home as is
Mhm.
to a conventional buyer.
Mhm.
Well, the majority of buyers are FHA. So a lot of times what you will see is you'll see homes sit, because most of the buyers within that demographic are going to be FHA buyers. So you really have to do your research as a seller to understand who's your audience.
Gotcha.
Trina is so right. Trina talks about it is a plus to have a seller assist. I tell sellers all the time, if you want to get rid of this place, if you
Mhm.
want to move on to your next chapter, you have to be open to assistance. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be open to assistance. You can negotiate the price.
Mm-hmm.
Offer assistance. You can negotiate the price. You don't necessarily have to accept asking price. You can accept a little bit higher because now instead of you assisting with $0, you may be assisting them with 5,000. So now you can go back and counter offer and say, well, since I'm going to give 5,000 instead of this home being 305, I need to take 310. It's
Yeah.
much easier to bake that into the mortgage because you're paying that extra $5,000 over 30 years as a new buyer. It's not like you're coming out of, oh, I got $5,000 I got to give up. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably that's probably not even $30. And I'm not gonna say probably not even because $30 is a lot in our households right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's probably not more than 30, 40 extra dollars a month in your mortgage payment to be able to get that $5,000 assistance so that you can get into that house. And so there are several different strategies, whether you're buying, whether you're selling. Crazy enough, there are even strategies for renting.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people focus on home buyers, home sellers. Our team helps renters as well. We just had a Southside Community and Resource Fair here in Chicago, and we had to dive into simple steps that you need to take when you are filling out a rental application.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these application fees, $75, $100, $65 per person. Imagine a household of 3 adults. $75 each. That's a lot of money. That's one address. That's one
Mm-hmm.
application. So when you get ready to put your best foot forward, even as a renter, there is a strategy behind that. One, know that from the moment you call that real estate agent, that landlord, or their property manager, you are being interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Be very, very careful of what conversations you have, how you have those conversations. Make sure that you keep it on a professional level. People don't need to know what's going on personally in your lives because you're being interviewed. Keep
Mm-hmm.
it basic. My name is so and so. I saw you have this property on the market. I'm interested. What are the requirements? I'd like to learn more. Keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
When you're having those conversations, ask the questions that you need to ask. Are there credit score requirements? Is there anything else that the landlord needs that I might not be thinking about? Are they looking for a certain amount of income? Ask these questions. Don't just go into these places or jump online applying for these places and you're spending all this money in rental applications and you're still 3 months down the line looking for somewhere to stay. That's three
Mm.
$400 gone.
Mm.
You'll never get it back. Those fees are non-refundable.
Yeah.
And so we even help people when they're going through that process to learn how to go through the rental process. What information you need to present. When they say show your proof of income, they mean show your proof of income. We're going to check your income verification. We're going to check your landlords, present and past. We're going to check for evictions. And
Mm-hmm.
in Cook County, we have a bifurcated process for renters, which means you cannot check their criminal at the same time that you check to see if they qualify. You have to
Mm.
check income first, you have to do their credit first, you have to make sure you do landlord verification. All of those steps are step one. Because we have an amendment called Just Housing, which actually tells us don't look at that criminal right now. You legally you have to check to make sure that this individual qualifies.
Mm.
Because what we were running into here in Cook County, because of people's backgrounds, whether it was minor offenses, major offenses, long time ago, recent, people were immediately denying people housing.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And so now we have this amendment that's been in place for a few years that says you cannot check their criminal background when you first check the rest of their information. You have to make sure that they qualify first. Then, as an owner or whoever, if you're the owner, property manager, whatever, once you deem that this person qualifies based on the verifications of these items, now you can check the criminal background. And then there is an entire system to how you check the criminal background and how you go forward with that applicant. And a lot of landlords don't know that here in Cook County because
Mm-hmm.
Chicago is in Cook County. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is why it's important for landlords to lean into real estate professionals. We
Mhm.
have laws that we are constantly taught. Real estate law is all that's all we do when we go to class. When you take your real estate course, you're
Mhm.
learning about law. You're learning about how to make sure that you stay on the right side of the law, how to make sure that you don't discriminate, how to make sure that you help people that own properties don't do the same thing. And so a
Mhm.
lot of times when owners are looking to clear to fill in a vacancy, owners feel like, "Oh, I can do it on my own." And you can. We
Mhm.
we're not saying that you can't, but you need to understand real estate laws, housing laws as it relates to your city, your county, and your state. And that's one reason why you should always lean into a real estate broker.
All right. And you sound like the best. You are the best. You are
I
so knowledgeable.
appreciate you.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I always
Yeah.
like to off an interview with words of wisdom, right?
Yeah.
And so what words of wisdom would you give to, I call them my beautiful souls, all my beautiful souls on here? What
Yeah.
words of wisdom have for them? And it doesn't have to be real estate
Yeah.
related, right? What you?
So I would say to our beautiful souls, the words of wisdom. Good morning, cousin. I just saw my cousin pop in. I would say for words of wisdom, understand that your journey is your journey.
Mm,
I saw a quote a few months ago, and I thought that was so amazing. And it said, "Comparison is the thief of joy."
yeah.
Don't compare yourselves to anyone else, whether it's personal, professional, whether it's a home ownership journey, a seller's journey. No matter what, know that you are made in the right light and you are perfect the way that you are. And please understand that you do not have to dummy yourself down, water yourself down, or dim your light so that
Hmm.
others can feel like they can shine. We're not doing that. We're not doing that at all. This is our Jordan year. So we coming for everything that we deserve. Those are my
Yeah,
words.
I love. And all this has been Miss Cass, right? Miss Cass came with that info, okay? Is knowledgeable, has the education. So if you are looking for you are a realtor, right?
I'm a realtor. There's a difference between a real estate broker and a realtor. You're right.
About
I'm a
that,
realtor.
talk about that real quick.
So the difference between a real estate agent and a realtor, honestly, realtors are held to a higher standard. A lot of us go through more education, we go through more trainings, and we are held accountable a lot of times. Not to say that real estate agents aren't, but we get a special type of training. And again, we are held to that training. We have to go through this training periodically, whether it's discrimination training, whether it's bias training. Like, we do a lot in order to make sure that we are really becoming good stewards of our communities, because a lot of the decisions that we make in our industry help
Mm-hmm.
to shape the communities that we live in. And so there's a huge difference between that. So I'm a proud realtor. Shout out to the Chicago Association of Realtors, our CEO, Michelle Mills Clement, who is the bomb. We love
Mm-hmm.
her.
Okay, so y'all have the information for Miss Cass up there. Text Miss Cass to 85377. If you have any questions, you see, look, she got the knowledge, the wisdom, and the information for you.
And
Okay.
I service the entire state of Illinois. Even if you're not in Illinois, I have a network of real estate brokers and realtors in a state near you. So reach out to me, even if you're not in Chicago or Illinois, because I can still help.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we always close in prayer. I
Okay.
like to cover you and all that you got going. We touch and agree in prayer here. Okay, okay. So Father God, we just thank you. We thank you for Miss Cass, God, on today. Thank you for all the information she poured out, God. Thank you for using her, God, on today. We just pray, Lord, over her future and every endeavor that she has coming up, God. I just pray that you will continue to bless her household, God, and bless those that she is working with and those that are to come, God, and even her future endeavors, God. I know you have great things in store with all all the knowledge and wisdom that she has inside of her, God. I just pray that you would take her to places that she hasn't even imagined, oh God. I thank you, Lord, for all that you are doing in her life, in and through her, God. I pray that you would continue to just lead, guide, and direct her steps as you have on this interview today, God. I thank you for right connections, God. I pray for each and every person who came on and who will view this talk on today, this interview, God. I pray that if they are looking, even thinking about renting, owning, selling, God, that they would reach out to Miss Cass, God, for she has the knowledge and wisdom that they need, oh God. And so I pray, Lord, over each and every person. I pray, Lord, over our minds. I pray, God, over our hearts. I pray over everything that incorporates us, God, that the places we are going, God, that we will take you with us, God. You said that you would never leave us nor forsake us, that you would continue to lead, guide, and direct us to the right places at the right time, oh God. And so I just continue to praise you, God, because you are worthy. And we lift you up in Jesus' name. Amen and amen.
It is
All right.
received. It is received. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's
Thank
been
you, my
an
sister.
amazing interview. You are phenomenal. You are
You.
phenomenal. And hopefully, we'll be connecting soon. We will be connecting soon.
Yes.
Y'all don't forget to reach out, Miss Cass. If you didn't get that, I'm gonna post it one more time. Where is Miss Cass's information? So, in case you came on late, right, and have any questions regarding real
Yes.
estate, renting, buying, selling, land, all of those good things, right? Text Miss Cass 85377 and she can help you. So, I love you all. Remember, the sky is not the limit.
That's right.
You are. Stop limiting yourself. I am on the last chapter in my book. I plan to finish my last chapter on today. So, y'all will be getting this good book soon.
Yes.
It is coming. It is coming.
Love to hear it.
Right. All right. So, I will talk to you all on Friday, 6:30. Mhm. We will see you soon. All right. Love you all. Bye
Mwah.
bye.
Be blessed, everyone.
Right.